Welcome back to Missing. I am Tim here today with Lance. Lance, how are you today?
It's going fantastic today. It's been a heck of a week, hasn't it?
It has.
Well, it's been a roller coaster. I hope everyone out there has had a good week. Tim, we've had our ups and downs this week. Where have you landed?
I'm doing great, Lance. I am happy to bring our fine audience this episode, this heartfelt conversation with the mom of Jessica Stacks. Our guest today, her name is Cathy, and we're speaking about the disappearance of her daughter, Jessica Stacks, who went missing on New Year's Day in 2021 from the Tallahatchie River in New Albany, Mississippi.
And while the disappearance of Jessica is indeed tragic, the interview and the conversation that we have with her mom that you're about to hear is an incredible glimpse into the raw pain that someone feels when they are dealing with these circumstances. You mentioned that she disappeared on January 1st, 2021, so this is still new to Cathy. I mean, these wounds don't heal in a year and a half. They don't heal in 5 years. They sometimes never heal. And our listeners get the opportunity right now to understand the pain that someone goes through. I mean, the emotion in this interview is, if you were to score it on a 1 to 10, it's like a 12.
Cathy is frustrated with law enforcement and desperate for answers. Jessica's boyfriend at the time did not report Jessica missing, has still not spoken with Cathy. Tragic case. It's an emotional episode, and if you have any information, you can call 662-534-1943.
And it's one of the episodes where I personally wish that someone who is responsible for this, or somebody investigating it, or somebody who has information actually hears this. Because if you have any sort of connection to Jessica's disappearance and you hear her mom, you are missing something in yourself if you don't reach out to try to help her.
And if you haven't heard part 1, make sure to scroll back and listen to that. That gives a good overview of the case. This is a little bit of a deeper peek into Jessica's disappearance.
Jessica was my best friend, and she was in a bad situation, and I tried to get her to get out, and she'd come stay here with me. And then I, go to sleep, and then I'd wake up and she'd be gone back. And she came here with her eyes beat shut, and last time I seen her was December 28th.
Some brief background here. Jessica and her boyfriend, Jerry Wayne Baggett, apparently got into a boat, a very small boat, and put it on the Little Tallahatchie River at about 6 a.m. on New Year's Day. The boat went down the river a little ways, and Jerry claims that Jessica jumped out, and she has not been seen since, except some footprints have been seen on the shore, and some boots were found that were apparently Jessica's. But Jessica has not been found. Cathy discusses the last time she saw Jessica.
She came up here with him, and I done told her if he ever pulled back up in my yard, it was going to be hell to pay, because I was going to beat him with a baseball bat. But when they pulled up, I didn't even know they was coming. Toby, he knew she was coming, and he come out of his room, and he's putting his jacket on. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Let's go ride a motorcycle." I said, "You ain't riding on no motorcycle, boy." About that time, she come in the door. She said, "Yeah, Mama, it's okay. I'm gonna let him ride it." I said, "Who's out there?" He said, "Jerry." So I didn't say nothing because Kobe came out of his room, and I don't want no conflict in front of him, because he don't like me even yelling, much less going to hurt somebody. And they stayed here and for a little bit, and they ate, and they left, and she called me about 30 minutes later, and she said that they had run out of gas, and they was on a motorcycle now. And I told her, I even asked her, I said, "I bet y'all can go a long ways for cheap gas on this thing." He said, "Don't take but $3 to fill it up." But they run out of gas from here back to New Albany, and I'm like, they needed $3. Why didn't she say she needed $3? I didn't want her sitting on the side of the road. She said somebody was coming after her, and that's the last time I talked to her.
Tell us about Jessica's boyfriend, Jerry Wayne Baguette.
The boyfriend has never once tried to call me or get in touch with me or anything. And when they was out there searching and stuff, he was right there, but his son came up and talked to my sister and my mom, but he wouldn't come up and talk to him. You know, Sheriff told me they were some good old boys when we went and met him, and I'm like, if that's what you think, that's conflict of interest right there, you know.
When you're speaking about the police, you said that one of them made a comment about them being good old boys. What does that mean?
The sheriff told me I was in his office. He was sitting at his desk, and there was 2 or 3 investigators and 2 or 3 more policemen, and I had my friend Pam with me, my friend Brandy with me, my friend Sonia was with me. I think that was it, and we was all sitting in his office when he said this. He said, "Oh, them some good old boys." I said, "Well, if that's what you think, that's conflict of interest right there."
He was saying that Jerry and the people
His
that were
son.
involved are just
Yeah,
a bunch of good
yeah.
old boys?
Yeah, yeah,
Who said that to you?
yes, to my face.
Wow.
Was Jerry physically abusive to Jessica?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I guess we'd have to define what good old boys means then, because it doesn't mean good person.
They told me that Jerry Baggett done a lie detector test, and that's the last time I seen the sheriff face to face in his office. And I asked him what it said, and he looked at me, and I'm the only one that goes there now. And I go to New Albany by myself all the time still. And I'm in the sheriff's office, and he said, "Well, we gave Jerry Baggett a lie detector test." I said, "Well, what did it say?" He said, "Well, you just can't tell anybody everything." I said, "Well, I ain't just anybody. Excuse my language. I'm not just anybody. I'm her mother. You know, who are you talking to? You know, it ain't like I was in there with 10 people. I was in there by myself. You know, he just couldn't tell anybody everything."
And here Cathy talks about some local stories and rumors, and she expresses some frustration with law enforcement.
And I've got people saying that they found a bag with her bloody clothes, and I even got a little pouch that's in a Ziploc bag. But of course, I'm not going to give it to the sheriff for them to send off or anything, because it liable to get lost in the mail, you know, lost in evidence. And I've got people telling me that she's in 55-gallon drum in Arkansas, and then there's this guy named Jim Craig. He done a live video on Facebook talking about hauling bodies in the big truck, and he's fixing to kill himself, so he pulled over on the side of the road in Florida and killed himself. But his girlfriend, the one he was seeing, is just so happens the girl that come up with Jessica's bag of bloody clothes, and then they throw them in the garbage. You know, I just don't understand it.
And here Cathy discusses where some evidence was found and some possible footprints that Jessica may have made, and she describes the land.
And it just so happened the land that she supposed to been on up in this boat was the boyfriend's son Hunter's friends' land. And the sheriff told me it was a hunting club called Two High Hunting Club. But they had some cameras up, but they just so happened to got stolen. You know, deer cameras up out there. And they just so happened to got stolen. But they found a boot cut off, but they didn't see no signs of foul play. But they told me that they seen her footprints. And I said, "What do you mean footprints? Was she barefooted?" "No, it's tennis shoes." I said, "So she was wearing water boots, whatever, and tennis shoes too. She's supposed to have been in this sinking boat, but she had her purse was in there. Her only key that any of us had to her car was in this in this boat. Okay, her other phone that didn't have no minutes on it. But if she got out of that boat, she would have took that phone regardless. She didn't give her phone up for nobody to use. I'm just gonna tell you. She took her phone to the bathroom with her. She TikTok. I put the minutes on this phone. I made sure she had minutes on this phone. But if I was to ask her, could I borrow her phone? Because she was always TikToking and videoing herself on the phone or something. She didn't loan her phone or give her phone to nobody. What I said was, okay, this is supposed to have been his friend, and Jerry had a phone. If that was the case, Jessica would have, kept her phone for one. And she would have said, "Well, Jerry, you give your friend your phone." She's not crazy. Even if she was high or whatever, she ain't fixing to go get in no river, in no raging river, She didn't weigh 115 pounds, and she stayed cold all the time. And then they said that she jumped out the boat chasing wild hog. Give me a break.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make much logical sense. So the official story that Jerry gave police, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Jessica gave his friend Willie her phone so they could, I guess, reunite after their hunting trip. But also
I
they
don't know
were...
what he gave the sheriff, because sheriff ain't never told me nothing. What I was told was by the son
Okay.
of Jerry Baggett's son. You know what I'm saying? I asked the sheriff after he called me, second or third day. I said, "Well, are you gonna call the FBI in?" He said, "No, I ain't calling them in, but you can call them if you GD want to. But I can tell you right effing now, they ain't gonna come in and touch it with a 10-foot pole."
Cathy, you had said that the story was, or according to them, they said that she jumped out of the boat to chase a wild hog.
Yes.
Was she very active in hunting and fishing, and had she ever expressed any interest in
Not in the wild hogs, but yeah, she hunted, she fished,
Yep.
she yes. I don't know really about hunting, but she loved to fish, and she went airhead hunting and stuff. But she's not crazy. She's not gonna jump out the boat. She ain't even gonna get in no boat.
She would understand that that's dangerous.
This was supposed to be a leaking boat. I never seen the boat. I never seen anything. They showed me the two bags finally, what they got out of the boat, which one was a little bag that had a few fishing lures in it, and the other one had her billfold and her key to her car and her other phone and stuff like that she wouldn't take in no boat to begin with. Why would she take the only key and her purse with her ID? She wouldn't do that.
You said the boat was leaking?
I mean, that's what they told me. I don't know. New Year's morning, it wasn't even morning. It wasn't even, well, it was morning to me. I hadn't even got out of bed yet. I hadn't even really woke up, opened my eyes. And this was about 10 a.m. I reached over and called her phone. I don't just wake up and call her phone, but I called her phone about 10 a.m. Some guy answered the phone. I said, "Who is this?" He said, "This is Willie." I said, "Where's my daughter at?" He said, "Oh, I got him out doing something for me." I said, well, what the hell are you doing with her phone?" And he said, "Well, they left it with me so when they got done that they could call me to come back and pick them up." I said, "Well, have my daughter call me." Day rocked on. I just felt sick all day, and the next day was Kobe's 15th birthday, and I was trying to get his stuff together for his little party or whatever. And it was about 7, maybe 7 that night. I called again. Whoever it was answered. They said, "Hello." I said, "My daughter ain't made it back yet." He said, "No." I said, "Well, where the hell's she at?" He said, "I don't know," in an evil voice. I mean, just an evil voice. And then the phone just went staticky. I said, "Look, I don't know if you," and I started screaming into the phone. And I said, "I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I tell you right now, I put the minutes on that phone. I'm fixing to have that phone ping, and the law's fixing to be there, and I'm on my way there too." Okay. And this is what's the icing on the cake. It wasn't even 3 minutes, not even 3 minutes later. On my one phone, I could not get on Google, so I had to come and find a tablet to get on Google to get the number to New Albany. Because, see, I live in Nettleton. I didn't automatically know the number to the police department up there. Before I could even do that, I got a Facebook message from Jerry Baggett's daughter, Hannah. And she said, "Miss Cathy, this is Jerry's daughter, Hannah. Could you call me?" So I called her. She said, "Miss Cathy, I know you're worried about Jessica. Never met this girl, didn't know this girl, had never talked to this girl." And this is at 7 o'clock, about 7 o'clock that night. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, Daddy come in, he was all scratched up. He said he tried to stop the boat because the motor went out on the boat, and Jessica got out of the boat, and we think she got a ride with somebody. And I said, "I'll tell you, I know what happened, And I told her, I said, "I know your daddy killed my daughter." And I said, "I'll tell you right now." I said, "I'm telling you, the law's be out there. I'm going to look for the number again." Before I get the number, she texts me back. She said, "Oh, somebody picked up. We got her. Somebody picked her up." So I'm automatically trying to call this girl's number back. It took 45 minutes before she ever answered again. She said, "Oh, Miss Cathy." I said, "Well, let me talk to Jessica. Where's she at?" She said, "No, I was just wondering if you knew somebody named Sam. We thought somebody named Sam picked her up." I said, "Look, I don't know nobody named Sam. I ain't never heard nobody named Sam. I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "Y'all just killing time." And all of a sudden, Hannah's husband reported Jessica missing at 10 p.m. But they're supposed to got in this boat to go 4 miles down the river, a raging river, which it wouldn't have took you 2 minutes to get 4 miles. I mean, because the river is going really fast. You know what I'm saying? In a boat with no motor, no nothing. A little tin boat, supposedly. From one bridge to the other is 4 miles if you do the location on it. And the river's supposed to be going really fast, so it wouldn't have took them no time to get from one bridge to the other. They supposed to put this boat in at daylight that morning. I called her phone at 10, and that's when they said that she got out of the boat. That was the time. She got out of the boat at 10 a.m. Then they didn't report her missing till 10 p.m. And I knew it at 7 p.m. Doesn't make any sense at all because it's all bullshit. I mean, it's crock of crap. And Sheriff and them over there is like, "Oh well," you know. And Hannah, the daughter's calling Jessica's phone on Messenger and talking to somebody on her Facebook Messenger because I'm in her account on that day. She talked to somebody for like 2 minutes and then 5 minutes. And then her last message to Jessica on Jessica's phone was, "Did Jessica ever come back to where y'all was?" And the first message was, "Did you go with Daddy on the boat this morning?" And when I seen that message, I told him, I said, "That wasn't no Willie." She was talking to her own brother, and I believed that it was her brother that had that phone. And then it was told that he went back to school and said that he did have the phone.
And here's an unconfirmed rumor. Names are omitted.
And he was seen coming in Walmart that night and buying a brown can of spray paint, checked out through the self-checking, and then earlier that day, they went to the tractor supply company and bought a 55-gallon drum, a blue 55-gallon drum. So I figured they bought the spray paint the drum to camouflage it. I mean, I don't know, but I know she didn't jump out no boat chasing up the wild hog and didn't nobody get her, and she didn't drown because she wasn't out there to begin with. That ain't her in that truck. At first I did think it was her because I wanted it, but that ain't her. There's not her in that truck.
Okay, so you're speaking about the surveillance video that was taken at the gas station?
Yeah.
And there's a woman in the passenger seat who kind of leans out a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't believe that's Jessica?
No.
How come?
I did at first, but because I just don't. I mean, because her nose is bigger, and you just don't. I don't know. And whoever it was spit out gum out the window. Jessica hardly ever chewed gum. And this is at 5 o'clock in the morning.
And we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Thanks to our sponsors, and now we're back to the program.
Did you say that Jerry had showed up covered in scratches or all scratched up?
That's what his daughter told me. I haven't never seen him to this day or even talked to him. He would not call me. He won't answer my calls. And I'm just going to go to his house. When I got her stuff from his house, his daughter packed her stuff up and met me at the store.
His daughter told you that she saw him right after and he was scratched up. And did she tell you what he said was the reason for these scratches?
Yeah, he was trying to hold on to branches because the motor in the boat had went out and the river was raging so fast. The boat was going so fast, he was trying to hold on to branches, trying to get the boat stopped.
The reason he was scratched up, his story was that the boat was going so fast and he was trying to stop it by holding onto the branches.
Yeah, his hands and all was scratched. That's what she told me.
Okay.
And so what's supposed to be the story about what Jessica jumped out of the boat and chased a wild hog?
That's what the sheriff told me that Jerry Baggett said.
Right. And that makes no sense to you, obviously.
No. I mean, she's not, like I said, she's got some sense. She wouldn't be out there no way. I mean, the river's raging. I mean, she got sense in her head. I mean, regardless of what she did.
So you're saying she wouldn't even have been on the boat in the first place that day?
No, I mean, it was cold. It was rainy. It was messy. I mean, She ain't gonna get in no metal boat that's leaking, a little bitty tin boat that's leaking with no motors or nothing. I mean, in the darkness, no lights or anything on this thing. I mean, it's just a little boat with nothing. I mean, this is just nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's a little boat that you put in a lake during the daytime, of course, to fish out of. Not to be going down no raging river.
Yeah, it was interesting when we had looked this over and recorded, a few weeks ago. We were talking about the fact that it was New Year's Day, like early morning on New Year's Day, and who would ever plan that?
Exactly.
And here, Cathy shares a local account of something disturbing that she heard, and her first-person account of trying to summon the police in New Albany.
The girl that said that they was at her house and that Jerry killed her out there said she was messaging me on the 4th, and I didn't even know the girl at all. And she started messaging me on January 4th and telling me that she'd been trying to get in touch with the sheriff, and she knew that was her blood out there on her carport, and she heard tell, man, you didn't have to kill her. And the last thing she remembers was toting her limp body out of her house. The sheriff nobody would ever go out there and investigate. So the 6th day of January, me and 2 of my friends went to New Albany. I stopped at the MBI place, and I told them what was going on. Would they not help? And they told me that they'd have to talk to the main man, and he would call me to answer his call if he called me. And I said, okay. So I come back out to the vehicle, and I told him, I said, well, what we're going to do? And one of my girlfriends said, well, let's just go out to the address because this Barbie Floyd gave me her address over Facebook. I mean, I printed all this stuff out. So we just went out to the address, and we called 911. That way somebody would have to come out there. So we go out there, we called 911. We did not get out the vehicle because I called my sister and I told her I said, well, I'm just going to go out here and call 911. I said, because, if I go to the sheriff department, they're going to follow me around. We'll be sitting out there for hours. She said, well, if you go straight to the address. She said, do not get out the vehicle because she works at law enforcement herself. My sister does. I said, okay. Okay, we went out there. We called 911. I told them while I was out there, what I needed them to come out there to do, and we needed an officer out there. The dispatcher on the 911 call asked me, are you allowed to be out there on that land? If not, I'm going to send somebody out there to arrest you for trespassing. I said, well, send somebody out here then, And about 45 minutes later, 2 of them pulled up, and we pulled up beside them, and I told them who it was, and we left. That's when the sheriff called me and told me about he was trying to get in touch with me. No, he ain't tried to get in touch with nobody. I wish they'd pull his phone records, even the sheriff's office phone records, and see how many times they've tried to call my phone. Maybe twice, and I didn't answer it because I was around my son, and I don't talk around my son. And I told him that, and I automatically call him right back.
And now Cathy tells us about Jessica's 2 phones that the police currently have, and Cathy is in possession of a 3rd phone of Jessica's.
The sheriff he's not doing his job. They're supposed to dump the phones that they found of hers, okay? A month later, they come with one phone that had minutes that the Willie guy's supposed to have for my son in here to unlock it, because I told him from the first day. They asked me, did I know how to unlock it, because it has the little dots on it and draw a pattern. I said, no, I don't. I said, but my son does. I said, because if he's autistic, if he sees you do anything on any kind of phone, tablet, anything, one time he knows it. And they said, well, bring him up here so he can unlock the phones. I said, I'm not bringing my son to this police department to unlock his sister's phone, which he knows what they look like by look, because I can't explain it. I'm not doing it. I said, I can take him home and he can. No. They said the CIA got one of them unlocked. They could never get the other one unlocked. So a month later, they brought it to my house. And I acted like I found it behind my Christmas tree. I acted like I was taking my Christmas tree down because I still hadn't took my Christmas tree down then. And I went in there and I acted like I'd found it behind the tree. And I said, Kobe, whose phone is this? He said, that's my sissy's phone. I said, I can't get in there. It's locked. I'm acting, like I don't know what's going on. I said, can you unlock it? He said, yeah. Took him 2 tries and it was unlocked. And I didn't think about anything. I just come out of his bedroom and I brought it right back in here to in my living room to investigate. And he got it and he left. Okay. 9 months later, this phone that I do got of hers was in her car, and I didn't get it till a few months later, and then get into her account. And that's when I seen these messages and stuff. And they were supposed to dump their phones to begin with. And last time I talked to Chris Chapel, I said, well, what do you think about the boyfriend's daughter calling Jessica's phone on the day of and talking to somebody this many minutes, that many minutes? How you going to message somebody's phone and ask about them? Did y'all ever get up with Jessica on her own phone? You know what I'm saying? To her own Facebook, which I copied them all down. I printed them all out. And he said, well, I'm going to have to look into this. I said, you should have looked into this 9 months ago when you got the phones dumped. And then nothing.
So who is in possession of the phone now?
The police. They got 2 of her phones. The one that was in, one of them was in the boat, and the other one is Willie guy was supposed to have. They both got locations on them. And this other phone, the one I'm getting into all of her accounts, which is this phone. See, this is her. It was in her car, but I can't get the locations that they've got because they got them phones on airplane mode. Okay, I went back into this phone just not even a month ago, and I hadn't been in months. When I turned it on, I had charged it up, of course. I turned it on, and it said I had to update the phone. So I updated the phone, and when I did that, it said I had to re-put her password to her Gmail account in there. And I done that. And as soon as I done that, my mind, I don't know. I automatically went to map on that day. Because all the locations that I did get, I had them written down 100 times, But I automatically went to maps. The 30th and the 31st of 2020. The locations went to. It was at that Poobel store, went back to his house, went to this address in Hickory Flat, stayed there to the 31st, and then come back to his house. Okay, I automatically wrote the address down, and I got off the phone, and I called my girlfriend, and I was, I don't know how this address just popped up there. So I talked to her for about an hour. I went back on her phone because I was going to go back to days before that, and then days after that to see if anybody else had another one of her devices. But I wrote the address down but I seen where they left, it was on her Google account. Her locations are whatever account, whatever devices she's been on, she leaves her locations on. And see, they got them other 2 phones that one was in the boat and the other one, the friend's friend, whoever the hell had it, they got them on airplane mode. And I can't get the locations out of them. They got them on airplane mode because I asked the investigator, I said, why are these phones on airplane mode? Why are you keeping them on airplane mode? And he told me, he said, so nobody can go in to her accounts and erase or delete anything or get any of the information out of there.
And we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Thanks to our sponsors, and now we're back to the program. And here's a story that Cathy heard about Jerry and his stimulus check and Jessica's stimulus check.
Because I was told that he had another one of her phones that the boyfriend did. And I asked him about, the stimulus checks. When we first started getting them stimulus checks, he went to the store and he said, yeah, I got my baby's stimulus check in. I'm fixing cash, hers and mine, and fixing to head to Texas. And that was a $600 check. So the person at the store called me and told me, I don't know how true it was, but it was very true because I called his daughter. I said, look, I just got off the phone with the IRS, and I know he got Jessica's stimulus check. And the best thing he could do is take it to the sheriff's department, or I hope he cashes it, like that. 30 minutes later, she said, Daddy said he took the check up to the sheriff's office. Next day, I went to the sheriff's office just to see if he did. And he took it up there, and the sheriff opened her mail right in front of me and pulled out the check, said, yeah, we got it. And I'm like, you can't be opening up her mail like that. But the $1,400 check, he received it at his house, and then I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if he's cashed it. I hope he cashed it because that's federal. You know what I'm saying? But I know it was there because I had 5 people tell me that it was there.
I wanted to backtrack I wanted to backtrack to something that you said at the beginning to make sure that I didn't mishear it. Did you say that you had or you're in possession of a bag that has blood-stained clothing?
It was in a bag that they explained exactly what the bag looked like, and I know it was hers because I bought it for her. You know, it was like a backpack bag in it. They said checkerboard, but it wasn't checkerboard. It was these little black and white little paisley things, and it had a hot pink J on it. And they said it had bloody clothes in it, and it was about her size. I said, "What y'all?" And some arrowheads. First thing was the arrowheads. I said, "What y'all do with the bag?" Well, they threw it away. And I said, "What they do with the arrowheads?" She said, "Oh, they kept them." I said, "Well, the little bag that they was in," she said, "I'm trying to get it, and I'm gonna bring it to you." And she brought it to me in a Ziploc bag, and I've got it here. But you can tell that there's some kind of stain on it. But there were some arrowheads in this.
Yeah. And you also posted some images of Jessica with some apparent abuse, evidence of abuse on her face.
Yeah.
You post.
She came here with her eyes swelled shut. He's put her out. You know, I don't know where y'all from or where y'all live, but it's hotter than hell here. It feels like it's almost 200 degrees outside, but literally our heat index is about 115 right now. Okay, he has put her out on the side of the road in this kind of heat to walk. Just get out. You know what I'm saying? No phone, no water, no nothing. Just get out.
Was he ever brought up on charges of abuse, or was there any plan to file charges against him for this domestic abuse?
No, because she just always forgave him. Because he'd always, "I swear I won't never do it again," and blah, 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 blah. And she's young and naive, and I don't know what, I mean, now I know why he kept her coming back, you know, and it was because of drugs. But I mean, well, there's one reason anyway.
And here, Cathy lets out some emotion.
It's about, I mean, it has literally drove me crazy. There ain't a day that's went by that I hadn't cried. I don't like this feeling I got. I hate all this hate that I got in me. I'm not this kind of a hating person, you know. I just don't like the feeling that I keep having. And it's not fair. But nobody believes me. You know. They just think she run off. She just run off. No, the investigator said, "Oh, does she?" We was told she just does this all the time. She just runs off. You know, I said she would run off from him, but she ain't gonna run off from me. She's not gonna run off from me. And I had hope till that next day, January 2nd, because it was Kobe's 15th birthday. And I just was holding on to hope that she would call. Maybe she went maybe somebody did pick her up. She went somewhere and went to sleep, you know. January 2nd rolled in and rolled out. Nothing. I already knew on the 1st, but I really knew, you know. I know I'll never see her again. And it's not fair. It's not fair at all.